Live from the Carl Chevrolet Studios in West Des Moines, this is Iowa Live.
Welcome back to the program, everyone. It is time to check in with Professor Jeff Stein and learn about something that happened on this day in Iowa history that I'm betting that you're going to talk about a little later on today. First and foremost, hello, Professor Stein. How are you?
Well, where's my introduction like the basketball player?
Now starting at center.
There we go.
Please welcome from 1540KXEL. This is Jeff Stein. How's that?
That's pretty good. Although if I'm playing center, it's a pretty weak team, but that was outstanding.
Yeah, Jean, the gal that was 80 years old that was just here from the Granny basketball team, she plays center, which is amazing. And she said there's 41 teams in 10 different states for Granny basketball. Again, you'll be able to see a demonstration of that tonight at the Iowa Wolves game. 7 o'clock is game time. How about that? Now, that's something that people are definitely going to remember, and I think people are going to remember what we're talking about here this morning, Professor Stein, because one of the most famous gangs when it comes to robbing banks has to be John Dillinger, Babyface Nelson. And did you realize they were in the state of Iowa and did something pretty big on this day in history, didn't they?
Absolutely. It was a pretty good gang you had in the studio there, but we're going to go back to 1934 on this date. That's when a dark blue Buick sedan pulled up outside the First National Bank in Mason City. 7 people were in that sedan, including John Dillinger, Babyface Nelson, 5 others. Now, 2 stayed in the car. The others either entered the bank or stood watch outside. Now, the gang entered the bank. They started shooting their guns into the ceiling and the walls. Now, Lou, there was a bank guard by the name of Tom Walters. He was watching from an elevated bulletproof observation booth. He fired a tear gas cartridge. He hit one of the robbers square in the back.
Oh.
Bullets then shattered the glass of the observation booth. Remember, it was supposed to be bulletproof?
Yes.
Fortunately, Mr. Walters was not hit.
Wow. So not necessarily bulletproof glass. Nobody probably ever tested it like that. But there was something that was very unique about this robbery, beside the fact that it happened right in the middle of the day. What else was very unique about this?
Sheer coincidence. Earlier that same day, a newsreel camera operator started shooting film of the bank. Now, again, 1934, that's not commonplace, so a crowd gathered to watch the movie reel photographer. The crowd was still there as the robbery unfolded. And this is the interesting part. Some of the people in the crowd and the neighboring Nichols and Green shoe store, they were used by the Dillinger gang robbers as human shields from the police. So waving their guns, the robbers ordered the people on the street to cling to the getaway car. Some held onto the side, some stood on the rear bumper. It's estimated some 24 people taken hostage in that way. Well, the robbers left the bank with $52,000. They made their escape in the Buick, those Mason City residents hanging on as human shields. Those hostages were let off the car, Lou, over the course of the next hour, maybe one at a time, sometimes in small groups. Now, they found that car in a quarry 4 miles south of Mason City. Later on, it was the second success for the gang in a week. You see, they robbed a bank in Sioux Falls 7 days before that, then came to Iowa.
Wow, so that was, pretty successful payday for them. And, bank robberies like that were very successful, but for that gang, not much longer.
No, Dillinger himself would not celebrate many more escapes. Listen to this.
And he eluded a nationwide manhunt for months, until one summer night in Chicago, the FBI closed in as public enemy number 1 was leaving a North Side theater.
Now, that was just 4 months after the Mason City robbery. Dillinger killed by Chicago police, as that newsreel noted, as he left a movie theater. But it was a clean getaway for John Dillinger, Babyface Nelson, and the rest when they robbed that bank in Mason City in broad daylight on this date in 1934.
How about that? Now, if you want some of the details that Professor Stein just laid out for you, where can they go, sir?
Go to iowaalmanac.com, news story every weekday. Click on the events tab, and you'll see what towns I'll be coming to in April to tell these stories in person.
And we'll talk about that next time. Professor Stein, I'm passing the ball to you and say have a great day.
You as well, Lou. Thanks.